Yahukanan, Ban Yahweh, Ban Yasha'Allah, coming in with another GMS motivation, and this one will be Shalom. This week motivation will be 2nd Esdras 4:26-32. Then answered he me and said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel. For the world hasteth fast to pass away, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. For this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. But as concerning the things whereof thou asked me, I will tell thee. For the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. Therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down. And if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. For the grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much ungodliness has it brought up unto this time, and how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of threshing come, which is Yahweh. Ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed has brought forth, and when the ear shall be cut down. So it's explained how and what evil has to be moved out of the way before the kingdom can be established, and pinpoint certain evil things that has near flourish been done by the elites. Example: depleted earth resources, Isaiah 24, witchcraft and massive conspiracy networks of Satan that exist today, which that's what I'm finna go into. Whether they be in high government officials, officials or elite bankers, which I'm finna embody that whole world. Explain how they are influential through these mediums, radio, magazines, to push their Satanism vibration on the massive. Proverbs 64, Job 5, just a few examples. Explain what taboo or ill things that they push on society: homosexuality, transhumanism, idolatry, worshiping other gods, which I'm going to go into how they conform the whole world into a westernized Greco-Roman style system, which embody a one world order of worshiping all of the ancient gods and the ancient ways with the new ways that they have embodied. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to bring in is Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust by John Henry Clark, which this is a good book. I mean, I'm always show it to you. So if you Akims and you sisters want to go get stuff like this, it's best for you to go get it. Just open up your mind to what's really going on. So we go on page, what we at, page 10. Let's start page 10, which is the introduction, which I'm gonna break it down through this book. But this on page 10, it said the big lies about white supremacy. I'm just gonna read straight through. In Professor Clark's continuous quest for African truth, this work is a potential article of an all too neglected period of African world history, and set the stage for a more expansive publication that is being prepared by a collective of scholars under his able direction, dealing with slavery and its impact on Africa and the world. What are the key concepts accumulated by Dr. Clark? What analysis, perceptions does he bring to his history of this period? What historical process does he reveal and scrutinize? What system analyze does he prove the reader and the researcher? Let's say Dr. Clark challenged the traditional views of African civilization and its strength and weaknesses before the enslavement of the colonist period. He challenged the Eurocentric view of Columbus as a discoverer, and state that he set in motion the genocide process and renewal Western racism. So he said he gonna what of Christopher Columbus' discovery. And see, there's a reason why in school they always throw that term out there, which that's basically witch talk or newspeak, because they tell us all, because everybody argument is, why do they keep teaching our kids on Columbus discovered America? How could you discover something when it was already inhabited by indigenous people, which was the 10 tribes, the Northern Kingdom? So let's go into that word discovery, which now I'm understanding why they use that term discovery, because the elites know what that means. I'm always show you the articles before I read them, and I do this so you Occums and your sisters can go out and get this information yourself, so you can have it on file and you can actually read through it entirely, because I use the points that I want to use. Like my elder Gabar taught me that, look, you gotta go get these documents yourself. Go, you know what I'm saying, buy the truth, sell it not. Go to the library and print these things out so you can have them on deck like I got mine, you know. So this is it's a, what is the document of discovery? That's what it's called. Why should it be reputed? What is the document of discovery? Why should it be reputed? Now I'm finna go into why they use that Columbus discovered, because that was a term of for the elites. It said, for thousands of years, indigenous people lived free in their territories in the Western Hemisphere. When European monarchies invasively arrived in the Western Hemisphere in the 15th, 16th, and late century, during the so-called Age of Discovery, see, is the reason why they said that. They claimed the land, territories, or resources of the indigenous people, asserting that the monarchies had a right to appropriate on behalf of Christendoms. The monarchy claimed of a Christian domination. Domination over indigenous people and their land served them primarily to fend off competing monarchies. See, so why did they set up the year of discovery, or the document of discovery? To fend off other monarchies, because this was a collective among the elites from the old world. Over indigenous people and their lands served them primarily to fend off competing monarchies and to delegislate the long established anonymous indigenous people government. It's the document of discovery is a key promise for non-indigenous government claims to legitimize on a sovereign over indigenous land and territory that is used in particular by former British colonies, especially Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United States of America. What is found in the document of discovery? Critics for claiming land. European monarchies treated indigenous land as unoccupied as long as Christians were not present. Status of a human was based on religion. See that? Land deeds unoccupied were therefore discovered as if it has been previously unknown to humankind, and the land thus claimed by the discovery Christian European sovereign. See that? So they don't even consider you being a people because you're not a Christian. Transfer of the land. A Christian government claims the sovereign over a territory of an indigenous nation or people could be transferred by the treaty with another Christian government, such as treaty between the Britain Crown and the United States. Government by agent or proxy. Soviet monarchies gave royal charters of discovery to companies or individuals to delegate the work of claiming indigenous land, which I'm going to show you the map of that in a second. Which y'all see it in a second. Let me just go through the document of discovery and why I stopped in the book where it say Columbus discovered. It's the subjugation of the people. The Christian European government sought to subdue, enslave, and convert people. Incorporation of a diminished in permit status into secular law. In 1882, U.S. Supreme Court ruling John v. Moulton, the Supreme Court ruled that Indian Nation had no legal title to their land and were entitled only to the rights of occupation. Double standard among international convenience. The document of discovery is used to diminish, validate, and signify of international treaties between indigenous nations and the United States, the U.S., Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. It say elements of the document has how you say rationalized here's behavior against indigenous people through the century. Forced removal such as the Trail of Tears, the seizing of natural resources, and the destruction of traditional language and culture, the sterilizing of Indian women, and the disputing of Indian communities are examples for implementation of the concept of discovery. See that? So they basically made a rule that, I mean, a law that what they was doing when it came to doing what? The forced removal of the Trail of Tears. See that? Which we know all what that was about. The seizing of national resources, the destruction of traditional language and culture. That's why they had a document called the Canary Effect, Kill the Indian, Save the Boy. And sterilizing of Indian women. That was all under the guise of a concept of discovery. See that? The Vatican Popist Bull of the 15th and 16th century achievely encouraged the subjugation of Indian people. So the so-called Vatican Church, which the Catholic Church came from up under that, which have birthed all these other denomination, they was all with that. And the secularization of the document in the United States and elsewhere perpetrated, subjugated, and its consequence. Okay, what effects does the document of discovery have at this time? The document of discovery assumption about who is sovereign allow policies to develop without the full knowledge of period information consists of indigenous people. Diminishing protection of human rights is evidence. See that? So they saying that them people didn't have no human rights to not be killed, slaughtered, cut up, worked to death, or any of those things. There is no indigenous judicial over crimes committed on their reservation by non-natives. See that? So all them Europeans that came over here, they had a free go around to go and do whatever they wanted to do on them lands, as long as they was non-native. This is crazy. Okay, the diminished and implement status of indigenous people under the document of discovery is contrary to the rights of indigenous people to sustain themselves and preservation of distant people, a right affirmed in the U.S. Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. The document concept of occupation Indian title is inconsistent with the constitutional status of treaty. Treaties are the highest law of the land, equal to the constitutions. Treaties are made between sovereign states. Self-determination of indigenous people bring them in conflict with government and corporation that rely on the legal lineage of the document to assess claims to natural resources such as coal, oil, uranium, natural gas, and water. So yeah, so as you can see, we should go on, and then they try to start reprimanding it and bring them in. But that's why they always say that Columbus discovered, because that gave them the rights to go around and do anything that they wanted to do. Put that back real quick. Let me go a little further. It's just gonna get real nice. Just hitting points real quick. Okay, we're gonna go back to the book. So now you see, and I'm gonna start over. Dr. Clark challenged the traditions, page 10, traditional views of African civilization and its strength and weaknesses before the enslavement of the colonist period. He challenged the Europe-centric view of Columbus as a discoverer. Now you see why that's said. A status that is set in motion the genocide process of removing Western racism. Okay, I say Professor Clark point out that the Columbus set in motion political forces that establish a global system of exploitation. Now let's see if this is true. Now this is another document. Viceroyalty of the Rio de la Plata, which is them just ruling I'm going to show it to you. I'm not going to read none of this. I'm going to go to the back part and show you what it meant. We actually got the sign of this. Made a whole sign of this. The brother Iradi at. Which, what this show you is what I'm finna show you is how they went on in the steps. Because you heard the book said, Columbus set in motion, right? So, as you can see the map, right? These are all of the sections that the Europeans claim as they own from different monarchies. Whether it's from Britain, Spain, or any of those nations. Now I'm going to read them to you. Okay, it say up by Florida, St. Louis, Wisconsin, Illinois, which would be the eastern part of the United States. It was set up as a British territory. Towards the middle of the United States, Louisiana, 10th, New Spain. They call it the New Spain. As you get over by San Francisco all the way down to Mexico, they call it Viceroyalty of New Spain, which they also got Cuba and Haiti and so forth, Puerto Rico and all those lands. Then once you get down by like Guatemala City, right after Mexico, all the way down to before you get to Brazil, well, not that far now, but they got Victoria of New Guinea, Gardada, and when you go down past that, it's a Viceroyalty of Brazil, and then up under that you got the Viceroyalty of Peru and Viceroyal of the Rio de la Plata. See that? Which these are different monarchies taking control of the whole Western Hemisphere. So that's what that book is talking about. I'm going to reference everything off this book, but add in more information. Now, let's go back to page 10. Say, Professor Clark pointed out that Columbus set in motion political forces that establish a global system of exportation. This system has its roots in the Columbus era and produced European world domination. So let me get that real quick. Let's go into European world domination, which is actually in the scriptures. Tell you about all this stuff. Write in your own book. It's Daniel 7 and 17. It's Daniel 7 and 17. It says, these great beasts which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and forever. See that, which that's coming up next. It say, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which is Rome, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, because they went from kings passing their heritage down to their kids, and they went into a system of the Senate, which elected a Caesar, which today was a president, whose teeth was of iron and his nails of brass, which devour and break in pieces. His nails of brass, which devour and break in pieces and stomp the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns, which the 10 horns is going into EU and the NATO. That's the 10 common markets. Or better yet, that's the 10 common markets. Which, let me read that a little bit to you real quick, because this is how everything has been set up. This is how they established a world domination over the world. See that? 10 common markets. Read a little bit of it to you. It's a 10 common on March 25th, 1957. France, West Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg signed the Treaty of Rome. See that? That's Rome coming back all over again. They know who they is. Establishing EEC, which what? European Economic Community, also known as the common markets, or 10 common markets. See that? So that's what the book means. The scriptures in Daniel 7 and 20, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the others which came up, and before whom 3 fell. Which, what is that talking about? You had Spain, France, and Britain all fighting for the colonies of America, but 3 fall because we know who came out victorious: America. 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the others which came up before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, who look was more stout than his fellows, which is America. See that? And how do you know that that's talking about America? Let me show you. That's why you got stories like this going on. See, these scriptures get deep. See, that's why you have stories like this. It says, Donald Trump says NATO member states needs to pay up while visiting Brussels. See that? That's why Trump is able to go to these world meetings and make statements like this to the European Union. Why? Because he fellow, that's what it say. And as the 10 horns head, and of other one came and before, and of the other which came up and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that has eyes and a mouth that spake very great things. See that? Whom look was more stout than his fellows. That's why Trump is able to go and make statements like this and push people out the way to stand in front of them. I'm going to read a little bit of it. It said, Donald Trump wasted no time ahead of his first meeting with NATO. See that? See that? Because NATO is what? The military branch. I'm talking about right now, the EEC, which is the economic, bringing this westernized Roman world back together. But it also goes into who? Hold on. It also goes into who? It goes into Donald Trump. Said Donald Trump wasted no time ahead of his first meet with NATO alliance in chastening the group members for failing to pay their fair share towards defense with the chronicle underpayments. The visit to NATO headquarters in Brussels, part of the president's first foreign trip, was expected to be thrown, given that Mr. Trump has praised the Brexit vote for the UK to leave the EU and called the 28-member alliance obsolete several times in the past. So that's why he's able to do that. And y'all see them pushing president out the way. That's why, because he's over all them. Now, but you see, it goes to the scriptures. Daniel 7 and where I'm at? I'll speak 21. And I beheld. Well. Before I do that, let me go into wait a minute. Well, I ain't gonna go too far. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna come back to that Daniel. Well, I'll finish the Daniel, but then I'll go back into the book. It'll recycle itself into my second point on what I was gonna do with the 10 Common Markers, the Treaty of Rome, and NATO, and the so-called book, which I'll go into that second. Let's finish these scriptures so I can give you the understanding. Daniel 7 and 21. I beheld the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, which is America, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So that's how you know we was at the end of Esau rulership. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, which I already explained that to you, from electing senators and presidents and so forth, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces, which you see America has done that. And the 10 horns out of the kingdoms are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall do the 3 kings, which I told you, that's Spain, Britain, and France, and America subduing all they ass. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And he have done that. That's why he have gave you his penal code. He have gave you his what? His penal code. He gave you his what do you call it? Come on, John. Shit, I can't think of it right now. He gave you his constitution. He gave you his EU rules of how to treat the world. All Edomites, not the other nations. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and a dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion and consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whom kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hithermore is the end of the matter. Meaning, let's get to the conclusion of what's going to happen. As for me, Daniel, my conscience much troubled me, and my conscience changed in me. But I kept these matters in my heart, meaning in his mind. So to say that there's no physical kingdom coming down, you got your rabbit ass mind. So okay, let me go back into the book, because it's going to bring in the 10 common marks and everything. But that show you how they got the domination. I'm going to start up, so read back in. Professor Clark's point out that Columbus set in motion political forces that establish a global system and exploitation. This system has its roots in the Columbus era and produced European world domination. The 15th year period from 1482 to 1563 AD has special significance for world history, which I'm going to show you why. During this period, the European world was able to synchronize various economic, political, and cultural forces and lay the foundation for a global system of power centered around materialistic capitalism and imperialism. At the heart of the new global system of European American materialism was super exploitation of the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere and the enslavement of Africans. Now let me show you how they went about doing that. Once they brought in the 10 common market, which I already read to you what that was about, which I'm going to go back, but I'm finna loop everything in now. Okay, it's taking me off. Okay, let me type it in again, Satan trying to take it. So I'm finna loop everything into one. So as you can see, the 10 common mark is what that was about. On March 25th, 1957, French, West Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg signed a Treaty of Rome, established the ECC, also known as the 10 common market, which is European Economic Community. So they bringing in all their money and how they gonna go about doing this. But as the same process as they go to bring that in, they also bring in NATO. Now let's go to NATO. And you see what time, you see what day they brought in. You see what year they brought it in. The 10 common market, 1957. And NATO, which is the military branch of them, is what, 1949. Which is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also called the North Atlantic Alliance, is an intergovernmental military alliance between several North American and European states based on the North Atlantic Treaty that was signed on April 4th, 1949. Which I'm going to show it to you. That's what this is about. This is their military. Because now they got to enforce all what they finna bring in, whether it's economic, religious, or any of those things to the other nations. Which I'm gonna go to this, because the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns is NATO, the 7 heads, 7 governments of kingdom ruled by Esau. Because in the ancient world, which let me show it to y'all real quick. I'm pretty sure this look familiar. This is how they dominated the whole world. Okay, which I'm gonna break it down to you. The philosophy